So, the first deck that we're going to try today is the same list that CGB put out on his YouTube channel today. It's a pretty cool list. It's basically Naya lands. I saw this posted in his Discord yesterday, and I saw Yashar, and I was immediately intrigued. So, the point of this deck is basically to throw a ton of lands in play, and get some mileage out of cards that are otherwise kind of difficult to use in the archetype, like Showdown of the Skulls. So Showdown of the Skulls, you exile the top 4 of your library, and the point is that if you don't have, if you hit a pocket of lands and you don't have the ability to put multiple into play, then this card can kind of fizzle. So we have a few ways to get more lands into play. We have Druid class, which if you level up, lets you play an additional land on each one of your turns. And we have the payoffs for things to do with big chunks of land, like Minsk. So Minsk can create a giant hamster with the land. Yasharn fetches lands from your deck and lets you play them from your hand. But more importantly, Yasharn is really good in the deck because it's particularly effective at dealing with the treasure deck. So Yasharn turns off all of that. You can't sacrifice your Eye Twitches, you can't sacrifice your Shambling Gas, even if you could, you can't sacrifice the treasures that you get from them. We are running 30 land equivalents in the deck, and the goal, essentially, at the end of the day, is going to be to either have a giant hamster or a giant lair of the Hydra, wipe the board, get opponents' blockers out of the way, and then just one turn kill them. Hello, Harambe. Hello, Evil Empire. It's good to see you. Let's jump into the standard 2022 queue and see how this deck plays. Fragilitis, thank you for the follow as well. Appreciate it very much. Good to see you. And we found Carrick for our opening game. Yeah, so this hand seems pretty reasonable. Professor of Symbology is probably one of the best early plays the deck has available to it, other than the Druid class itself. Opponent mulligans. We like to see that. How are you guys all doing in chat? It's good to see you all. So I think we lead on the lair here. Not sure why I got love from the opponent, but I will take it. Ice Tunnel tapped. So probably up against some sort of snowy Dimir control deck. Showdown of the Skulls and Asika's Chariot are two excellent anti-control tech cards we have for the matchup. What do we want to draw here from our learn board? I'm thinking probably just Environmental Sciences. Our deck is very mana intensive. Mascot Exhibition's a long way off. Introduction to Prophecy is pretty expensive, and we have better outlets for our mana, I think. It's going to take the Environmental Sciences. Chapter 3 Druid class is also a win con too. Yep, that's true. Alright, so Field Trip is a pretty good draw, honestly. We'll start with an attack. There's no stick, so no removal spell here. If we play the Field Trip, it could get Jwari disrupted. The land that it puts into play... Yeah, I think we're just gonna Field Trip here. And I guess we want to get our red in play in case, on the off chance, we want to play Shadow Skull Smashing. If they counter this, we're kind of fine with it. Yeah, that's fine. So it's better that that gets countered than, like, our Asika's Chariot, which we will play next turn, almost certainly. But it has something this time. So opponent has a counterspell, most likely. Can kind of play around it if we're willing to just take a turn to play the Environmental Sciences. But I think I'm happy just slamming the Chariot, getting a counter out of their hands, because I would rather have the Chariot countered than the Showdown. I want to play the Showdown next turn. So, let's just do that. So if the opponent just has, like, these one-for-one counter spells and removal, then eventually we should be able to trade them down to 0 and attack with the lair. Let's see. Maybe they'll flinch this time. So what could they possibly have if not another counterspell here, right? Are we just going to slam the Showdown? We play the Showdown, they counter it, they untap, play Lulth. We're kind of in a rough spot. We're in rough shape. But I think playing Environmental Sciences just doesn't impact the board in any reasonable way. We can try to play the land first to play around like another Dwari Disruption. Which I think is probably fair. Because if we hit a pocket of land off the Showdown, who really cares? Our hand is all land anyway. So let's just do this. I mean, this is a must-counter threat if you have to counter, right? Sure. So we put them to the test. They did need to have basically exactly 3 counters. Interesting. So we have Minsk here. They've done nothing. They missed their land drop that turn. So, you know, yet another counterspell was a possibility. Their board wipe of choice is probably Blood on the Snow, so they're still 2 turns away from that. I'm not worried about playing the creature in there. If they do have the board wipe, then we do eventually get to beat down with the Environmental Sciences. Let's lead with Minsk. See what happens. Okay. We get our hamster. And we have the option either to pump the hamster to 3, or play Environmental Sciences. And I feel like Environmental Sciences is just not particularly inspiring. So I'm just going to pump the hamster. Down to 9. What do they have? So whatever they have, they held it. I mean, that probably means they have a removal spell, right? Okay. I mean, how much can we layer them for? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, so this would be a 5/5, 5, 7, 8. It's not quite lethal. I don't really want to expose the Hydra. I want them to be forced to deal with our board. I'm gonna go to combat. That resolved pretty quick. And this time... I mean, Mascot Exhibition just seems completely right. See what they do. Again, they do nothing. And they scoop. I am mystified. I really would love to know what these cards were. I have no idea. Alright. 1-0. Like, divide by 0, maybe? No, they would have cast that. I'm confused. I have no idea what they had. This hand is weird, right? This is just super awkward. There are certain decks that this hand is excellent against. I don't think we can send it back. But it definitely doesn't feel great. we just start by playing Smashing Tapped? Blood, Lolth, Onyx, and no mana? Yeah, I mean, that's gotta be right, but they had Stick on our turn, right? They had something, some sort of instant speed interaction. And I don't know what it could have been. Sure, so I guess we'll just get the Flare into play and for Tilted Doomscar. Necroblossom Snarl, so this is like probably Golgari treasures. We want to dig for Yasharn pretty badly here. So let's get our white down. Start the ramp. And what do we want? Manually place. I mean, yeah, it could have been a bluff. My experience is that in best of one, players don't bluff like that, but I could be wrong. All right. I mean, I think it's just Mascot Exhibition, right? We're gonna get there. So Asika's Chariot just feels outstanding here. Not sure how many reasonable answers they could have to it. Let's just get that down. And they've shown us no creatures as of yet. We also have the Doomscar. I think I'd rather keep the Amarius Call than keep the Shatterskull in play. In my hand, that is. Okay. Gnarled Professor, huh? It's a big boy. Containment Breach is also not bad. They can kill our Chariot with that. Showdown is an excellent draw. Let's just do that. There's the Yasharn we were looking for. You do a fair amount of bluffing? Well, I guess you're better than the average best of one player, Harambe. What can I say? We definitely want our second white in play. And we can get her some Professor of Symbology down. I mean, we can't really go wrong just spamming Mascot Exhibitions, right? And if they have a Containment Breach... So the Containment Breach can kill the Showdown, or it can kill the Chariot. If I attack with the Chariot, make a copy of the token, they can trade and then wipe our board, but then we're just slamming Mascot Exhibitions the rest of the game. So let's do this. They snap off the block. Opponent is tired of my shit. It's your turn! You don't get to keep doing that. I'm tapped out! What could you possibly be complaining about? Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay. Alright, good job. Good job. Okay. And I feel overwhelmingly ahead. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that was convincing. 2-0. You'd have to mute him. Bothers me when I'm, like, losing and they're spamming emotes, but when I'm winning and they're spamming emotes, it feels great. Yeah, this sounds awesome. Haven't drawn the Druid class once yet, but haven't really needed it either. Amazingly Randy. Alright. It's a little too much information, I think. So they show us Rimewood Falls. They're like Simic Ramp, I suppose. I'm just gonna get Environmental Sciences, I think. Prosperous Innkeeper, okay. Definitely a rampy card. Do I want to trade? I don't think I do. Because our Professor gets bigger with Showdown and can be used to crew the Chariot. And I think their Innkeeper has done his job. I don't think there's actually like a super big life gain theme in their deck. So I think we're just gonna buy, or fetch a land with Sciences and say go. What land do we fetch? Probably anything other than a forest is okay. Yeah, Cyclone Summoner for sure. We'll just say go. Cyclone Summoner doesn't bounce wizards. Do we have any wizards in the deck? No. There's our Druid class. So we can't play it and pump it yet. I think right now I just want to get the Chariot in play. Yeah, I think next turn is Druid class and pump it. I think Chariot's just too good to play right now. Also, Druid class plus pump is not super exciting in the face of Cyclone Summoner. I think we just want to be kind of aggressive. I feel like the matchup is probably bad. Like, we're not super good at being really aggressive, and they just go over the top of us, and we don't have great removal for the eventual Cyclone Summoner. Like, we have... I guess Doomscar is, like, okay. But they also don't have great removal options themselves, so... It could be just that we're supposed to play Yasharn here, and fire up the Chariot, and just attack with everything. Containment Breach. Alright, so they could kill the Chariot now. It is Sorcery Speed. So they hold up this mana instead of killing the Chariot, so that's gotta mean something, right? Maybe Divide by 0? What's the best way to play around Divide by 0? I think it is Yasharn. Because they can always divide the Chariot if I crew it up. I'd rather crew the Chariot with something that's summoning sick. Yeah. Fetches Environmental Sciences. Okay. And now I think I'm content just to attack out. No blocks. That's interesting. Okay. Oh. I see, I see. Okay. So we start the same way. Just attack out. Will you block this time? Wait, just block the Yashara? Okay. So, if they have Cyclone Summoner, what's the way to maximally punish them for that? I think at this point we want the Druid class down. Because this way, the more lands we can get into play, the bigger our lair will be. And we may be able to just attack through the Cyclone Summoner after they play it. Yeah, Epiphany for sure. Nothing else really makes sense. So they can cast the Epiphany now, but it's really unimpressive. They say go. So how big can we get this lair to be? We have 7 lands. So 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7. They can power up how many of these havens and block? Just 1. So they block the lair, they take 8. I think I like it. So 7 mana to spend on this. Yeah. We'll make it hurt if they want to power up the Faceless Haven to block the 2-2. Again, they don't have enough mana to pump up and block with both Faceless Havens here. Chapter 3 of Druid? You could do that. I kind of want to save it. Alright, so they have Mascot Exhibition, they also have Epiphany, and they really kind of have to choose between one or the other. They can't do the Mascot Exhibition and swing in, so they probably... Interesting. So they're saying, I don't think you have a way through. Alright. So let's lead with Showdown, because it'll... I don't think we can kill them this turn, but this will let us get counters on our creatures for next turn. If you bounce the Druid class, it's better to have used it? Kind of, but this way, like, if we hold on to the Druid class, then we can use the 5 mana later to make a giant lair of the Hydra, so it's more mana efficient to hold on to the Druid class in a way. And I don't really think that this is how we're going to be winning the game, if that makes sense. This was quite a set of cards to exile, by the way. think I'm just gonna get the Chariot and play now. Okay. Hey, Pom Pom. How you doing? No, the more I think about it, actually, Harambe, the more I think you're right. The pumping the Druid class probably was a little better than powering up the Lair of the Hydra manually. I think you're right. I think it was better to do that. Just got home from work. Yeah, me too. About an hour ago now. That's fine. So they can still cast their Epiphany here. I think I'm okay with this. I just want to get wide. All we need to do is get in for 4. They have another Epiphany. That's the only thing. That's the only reason this attack makes any sense at all, right? They wouldn't do this if they didn't have another Epiphany. Yeah, I mean, back-to-back Epiphanies. It's pretty backbreaking in this format. This is 5, 6, 8. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty convinced then that nothing we did mattered. Like, there were, like, minor things we could have done differently that game and played better, but that was, Epiphany, Tarask is not something our deck is likely to beat. Alright, 2 and 1. Virus. So I've wanted to see, like, the treasure decks to hose them with Yasharn, and we haven't been so lucky. We'll keep, though. Professor of Symbology can fetch us our red with Environmental Sciences. Spare a Sentinel. Second Yasharn is not ideal. Masked Vandal. Okay, so this looks like a party deck, I guess? I feel like a party deck is going to be difficult to beat. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're probably dead. I mean... Yeah, think we're in some serious trouble here. Get the other 2-1 in play. And I think maybe we have to give up on the pipe dream of ever casting the smashing. I want to just be able to cast the showdown. These are both going to be 4/4s. No? They're not? Okay. I don't see why they wouldn't have made that a 4/4. Yeah. Not gonna lie, this game has not felt close. Okay. Save me, Yasharn. Yeah. Alright. Well, their deck did the thing. Ours drew a bunch of 4-drops and died because we were on the draw. 2 and 2. I think, especially given that the opponent mulliganed, I think we have to mulligan this on the draw. It's just too slow. It's best of one. We can't just get run over. This is okay. This is okay. I think we keep this and I put back Minsk. Like, the only reason it's okay is because we can get environmental sciences to fetch the green that we need, but then we still would be missing the red. There's the green, I suppose. Let's just get it into play as green now. So up against blue-white control. These Doomskars are almost certainly dead. That's painful. Probably takes the chariot, I would think. They might take the Druid class, because we can't cast the chariot next turn, and they may just say, okay, they'll counter the chariot, and they don't want us casting the Druid class this turn. So there's Minsk. We can fetch red. That seems super low impact. Let's just get the Druid class in play. And are we attacking? I don't think so. If they trade, are we happy? I think the answer is yes. We've got the classic leveled up Druid class with no lands in hand next turn. Alright, blue-white, exile your stuff. Yeah. This isn't gonna be pretty. So there's no way we profitably block this familiar next turn, right? So I think we do just attack. And if they block, we're fine with that. Okay, great. Okay. We are going to get the shit epiphany out of us. I don't see any sense in pumping up the Druid class right now. Showdown you. Mm-hmm. This is painful. Main phase behold, okay. So they want to hit their land drops pretty badly. Bottom, bottom. It's a pretty good land drop. I still think I'm showdowning here. Do we play the land first to play around Jwari Disruption? I don't think so. Yeah. Wow. Four lands off the top. So next turn we can pump for 3 mana, play 2 lands instead. We'll have 4 mana in play, which is not really enough to do much of anything, unfortunately. Vega. Oh, this is the one that gives everything Foretell? No. Oh, this is the Foretell payoff. That's right. So, now what? I think I'm leveling up the Druid class playing Minsk. Or am I? I think I'm actually leveling up the Druid class and playing Doomskar. Or I thought I was. Crap. I don't have the white to do that because of the tap from Druid class there. Well done. I can still do it, but now I need to let one of these lands go. Does that change the play? I mean, if the plan is to Doomskar, which I think it does have to be, this Vega has to go, then playing the Minsk doesn't make any sense at all. So I guess that's what we're doing. And this probably gets countered anyway. No? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if this is an Epiphany, they had the option to play it. They chose not to. Alright, so... we can... Pathway gets us up to 8 mana, Symbology takes us down to 6, Fetch Environmental Sciences takes us down to 4, Land comes into play, takes us up to 5. Which is not enough to also play a Seeker's Chariot. But it is enough to level up the Druid class, I guess. It's also enough to play the Minsk and the Doomskar. Alright. Or just Mascot Exhibition, right? It'll be a tap-tap Druid, that's true. I don't know. Doomskar seems pretty terrible here. Let's just get the Environmental Sciences. No, you're right. Your math is right. So what's this card? Okay. So if we went crazy here and just pumped 9 mana into this hamster... Yeah, that's not good enough, is it? But I think what I do want to do is I want to play this, and I do want to pump the rest into the hamster. So how much can we do that for? 5? And they don't have great blocks if we do that. Behold makes sense. Epiphany might also make sense. They just had a Vega in hand and wanted to, and greedily held onto it. If it's Epiphany, and they cast it next turn, we take 2, 3, 4, and then 6 the following turn, so we take 10 down to 15. We'll have 2 blockers with the Chariot in play. Screw it, I'm attacking. Blocking the Trampler is an interesting choice. Okay. Cool. So you wouldn't do that if you had Epiphany, right? So it's not Epiphany? What is going on here? You're not attacking, right? There's no way. No blocks. Another Vega. I think you're quite dead, aren't you? Okay. Just making sure that if this card is somehow Alvern's Epiphany, then attacking doesn't leave us dead on board. And it doesn't, because we get to make another token off of the Chariot. They have to chump with Vega, so there's no way we're in enough danger there. Okay, I think that's 3 and 2. So I think that's it for this deck. Fun deck. Not really as impressive as I thought it was going to be. But I never really got to see Yasharn play against the Treasures like I wanted to. So maybe I'll play that again on my own some other time.